What's up guys, it's Roger and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be checking out the Rapacious Appetite. I don't know what that word means, but hey, it looks really cool. The new Taken weapons are here and this thing slaps pretty hard. I'm going to go ahead over here to d2foundry.dg. I will leave this link to this website in the description in case you want to check it out for yourself. It's great for checking out rolls on guns and it's what we're going to use today to start breaking this one down. Now, here's the roll you're going to be seeing me use in the gameplay. Of course, I'm only using this roll because it's the only one I have so far, so that's what I had to use. So I had full bore, light mag, a new perk called Invisible Hand, and Frenzy. So we'll go through and talk about every single perk, so don't worry about that. But I gotta say, the roll that I have here is not the best. You can literally see the stats on this thing. I have 0 stability. So keep that in mind today when I'm in the gameplay hitting shots with this thing. I have 0 stability on it. So I was getting flinched out the butt cheek. So keep that in mind. You need some good stability on this thing, and that's kind of where I'm going to be building into it. Now this thing is an aggressive frame. It actually matches the Immortal pretty well from what I've seen from 1v1 fights with the Immortal, because of course it's still a very good gun, that Immortal is, because it has target lock, and we'll get to that gun, the perks on this gun very soon, because it actually has it too. So let's start over here, with our barrel options. Full bore is fine, but you're going to lose stability and handling for that, but of course you do get 15 range. Down here I'd usually go for small bore. It's one of my favorites because it just has a good balance between stability and range. And then right here you do have hammer forwards if you want to go for just 10 range, something like that, and not have any downsides to it. There are a bunch of good options here, but those are the 3 that I would really recommend if you want something good in your barrel slot. Before we go too much farther in, I do want to say this is my personal preference on God roll. Everyone has their own personal preference. As much as we like to act like there's always one cemented God roll for every gun in the game, there's not. So much of God roll is going to come down to personal preference, so keep that in mind. If you disagree with me at any point, that's completely fine, and you can leave me down in the comments what you think are better rolls for this gun, but just do it respectfully or else I'm not going to waste my time on it. Now, let's keep talking. I'm actually going to open this range thing here so we can check it out. It does have 14 zoom. You can see 73 range on the roll that I have right here. Now that's pretty good. You see 20 meters aimed down sights of zoom, or of range I should say, is actually extremely solid. Now over here in our mag column, of course, Ricochet is what I'm going to recommend to you guys. 5 range, 10 stability is going to be very nice there. So let's go ahead and say that we want to go for small bore and Ricochet. Now after that, we're going to come to the first column here. We do have some pretty good stuff here, but nothing too crazy for PvP. Envious Assassin, of course, not very good for PvE. It could be pretty fun, and this is actually a pretty solid PvE SMG even the looks of it. Well-rounded is a perk that I actually like quite a bit, so you can throw a nade or hit a target with a charged melee, and you get a bunch of stacks to your stability, handling, and range. Let's see if we put that on, and we actually put it all the way up, let's say, then you can see you boost your stability quite a bit. You get a lot of extra range too, and your handling goes crazy. So this can be a very good perk. If you can just shoot something like a pocket singularity in, then you can get that stacked and take some enemies out with a lot less flinch and some extra range. It's actually a pretty good perk. Keep that in mind. Offhand strike can be fine if you want to use this. Of course, let's see if we turn that on. You see, look how much that stability is going to bump up right there with the offhand. It's more of a funny perk, but it actually can be very effective if you are interested in it. Now down here, Perpetual Motion is what I'm going to recommend to you as the God roll. In this column, the best perk here is going to be Perpetual Motion. Let's turn this up to 2 stacks. You can see this thing goes crazy. Of course, it's going to give you at 2 stacks 20 stability, 20 handling, and 20 extra reload speed. So you can see stability gets really good there. That's mainly why I like Perpetual Motion. And of course, you're always going to be moving around when you're using an SMG, so it's extremely solid. Highly recommend that you use Perpetual Motion as your God roll pick. But like I said before, well-rounded, or especially offhand strike, are probably going to be your follow-up choices there. Now after that, we have 4 times the charm. This could be maybe number 4 in this slot. It's a fine perk if you want to keep refilling your mag. This can help you kind of go on those longer tears without having to reload. But it's an SMG with pretty good reload speed at base, so you don't really need to worry about reloading. This is not really what I would go for, but again, in PvE, this could be pretty good, but I am focusing on PvP God roll here. Now, this is the new perk we were talking about, Invisible Hand. So let's take a look at this thing. It says, repeatedly missing targets increases the weapon's stability for a short time. This buff lasts for a short duration after a target is hit. Now, I don't know the exact number of bullets you have to miss. This is what I had on my gun today, right? So what you can do is actually, before you go into an engagement, you can shoot a few bullets out, and then Invisible Hand will proc, and you get the bonus to the stability. Of course, we don't know exactly how much stability this gives yet because nobody's done research on it, so we'll figure that out, I'm assuming, in the next few weeks. But you can use it. But the thing is, why would you use this when you could just walk around for a second before you go into an engagement with Perpetual Motion, right? Or you could just throw your melee out and use your well-rounded to get stability instead. So there's really no reason, I feel like, for this perk, and it's just kind of promoting you to play bad. Why would you ever want to miss shots just for a perk to be good? It's kind of the same thing as like Headseeker. For that perk to be good, you need to start missing headshots. You should always be striving to hit as many crits as you can, and a perk like this is just going to kind of make you feel better about not hitting them as often, and that's not something that you want to reinforce in your psyche as a good player, you know? So not a very good perk. Could be good on some guns, and you could make it work if you just, like I said, before you go into an engagement, shoot a few bullets, but honestly, it's not very good. Now, last but not least here, we do have Encore. So final blows are going to grant a stacking stability, range, and accuracy bonus to this weapon. So on a weapon kill for 7 seconds, you get 1 stack of body shot, 1 stack on body shot kills, and 2 stacks on precision kills. So that's a maximum of 4 stacks. So let's say you got 2 stacks here because you got a precision kill, right? So that bumps it up pretty good. So we just got 10 range, 16 stability, and a 2.5% accuracy cone size down because we got a kill. So we have 2 stacks and it was a precision kill. That's pretty good, but again, 5 range, 8 stability, you know, we can just walk around and have 20 extra stability. Now, you don't get a boost to your range with Perpetual, but you don't have to get any kills for that to proc. And most people don't like those on-kill perks. They just like to go ahead and have something that is just, hey, always on, you know, and I do actually agree. You usually want to have the perks that are just always on. However, an on-kill perk can be good, but it's usually something you want in the second column. Now, speaking of the second column, let's go ahead and look at that. First of all, up here, we do have One for All. Hitting 3 separate targets increases damage for a moderate duration. Now, again, this is mostly going to be for PvE. You know, you're not really going to use this in PvP much, but you could technically. Not going to recommend it to you, though. Headstone actually is a perk that I genuinely love, especially on something like an IS Luna hand cannon. Headstone is very, very good in Trials of Osiris, where people drop their ghost on their death. What Headstone does is it traps the enemy's ghost inside of that ice block, and until the enemy breaks the stasis ice, then they can't actually get the res. So Headstone's actually an S tier perk, in my opinion, for Trials of Osiris, and it might be what I craft this with in Trials. Specifically, if you're using it more for 6s or even a lot of the 3v3 competitive type game modes, I would not recommend Headstone. It's kind of more niche, but it can be very good. However, the only reason I would not say this is going to be the God roll is because there's some better perks in this column, and we're going to get to those very soon. Now, Focus Fury here, dealing half of the magazine's precision damage, grants this weapon bonus damage. The shot count is reset whenever the weapon is reloaded or stowed. Not very good. If you could get it to work, let's turn that on. You can see there, you know, it's going to get 20% increased damage, which is a heck ton of extra damage. However, you need to hit a lot of crits to get that to happen, and your enemy's going to be dead most likely by the time you kill them. This could be good if you hit a bunch of crits on one person, you proc this and you could wreck the next guy, but again, this is mostly going to be good for something like PvE. Now down here we have Harmony. Final blows with other weapons improve this weapon's damage and performance for a short duration. You're going to see in the gameplay, I'm actually using the new 120 hand cannon. I have Harmony on the 120 hand cannon, and it allows it to 2-tap. So I would kill somebody with the SMG, and then 2-tap somebody else with the hand cannon, and it was feeling absolutely amazing. You could do kind of a reverse, where you kill somebody with the hand cannon from a range, and then you pull out this with Harmony on, and you can see here, you know, we turn that on, and look at that, your handling just flies up, and 20% increased damage is going to let you absolutely smack somebody. So, Harmony could be a very good choice if you are interested in that. You could even do a double Harmony build, Harmony on this and Harmony on the hand cannon, and then no matter what gun you get a kill with, you could swap to the other one and have it absolutely wreck house. Now down here we have Target Lock, which again is what makes Immortal so good. Immortal did get a nerf, right, to its range, and I think that's good. It's a good start at least, but Target Lock is what makes Immortal so good, because what Target Lock does is it makes your effective range on guns like these that have very short mags way longer. So sure, it says the effective range is 19 meters with this roll. However, once Target Lock starts going, we can probably make our effective full damage range around 22, 23 meters, and that's extremely good. So Target Lock is what I'm definitely going to recommend it as the God roll in this column, but again, we have a lot of good choices. Coming down to Cascade Point here, final blows or sustained precision hits for another weapon increase this weapon's rate of fire. So you could get another weapon, right, and get some headshots with it, and then switch to your Cascade Point SMG and shoot really fast. Not something I would recommend unless you want to use it in PvE. Again, you could use this in PvE and it can be pretty darn fun, but I would not recommend this for any kind of serious try-hard type build. Now, last but not least, we have Frenzy, which is what I was also using, again, in the gameplay, and it felt amazing. Frenzy is a top-tier perk. Absolutely love this thing, and it's not something I use too often, but I know people love it, and I have started to love it more over time, and whenever I actually have it on a gun and I use it, I start to remember how much I do like it. So let's flick Frenzy on over here and look at our stats. Handling and reload speed just went to 100, because it gives you 100 handling and 100 reload speed when you have Frenzy on. Now, it also gives you 15% increased damage, which is the huge part of this. Our stability is still pretty good, remember, because we will have Perpetual Motion on. And it's going to wreck pretty hard. I think Frenzy is pretty good. You gotta remember you have to be in combat for 12 seconds, which is honestly not very hard. You get a Clarence out there, which is my Child of the Old Gods, like you can see in the gameplay I have today. He's gonna be ticking, that'll keep you in combat. You can hit some long range shots with a 120 or a scout rifle or a pulse. And then you can start going in, throw a nade in, you know, and just keep wrecking them with your SMG, especially once this Frenzy procs. You can choose to never go close combat with your SMG until your Frenzy procs, and it will become even better. So keep that in mind, Frenzy is very good. However, for the absolute god roll on this thing, I would recommend to you to use small bore, ricochet rounds, perpetual motion, and target lock. I think right here, this is the exact roll you're going to want. That's going to put you around 43 stability, which is pretty darn good. 65 range is not bad in the slightest. 73 handling is very solid. 42 reload speed is quite good. And then you come down here to like something like the aim assist, which is a pretty good range right here. Again, that's going to be around 19.3 meters of range before we start experiencing fall off. But with our target lock here, that's going to boost itself to around 21 or 22-ish meters of actual usable range once the target lock starts going off. So keep that in mind. I would say a range masterwork is what you're going to want down here. But if you think that the stability is a little too low for you, you can put a stability masterwork on, but that is going to bring a whole meter of range down on your max range here before you start getting damage fall off. So I do recommend you use a range masterwork. Now, there is a new origin trait here called Unsated Hunger. It says it increases your handling, reload speed, and stability when no abilities are fully charged. Swords gain increased guard resistance and charge rate instead. That's mostly going to be for PvE, that last part. But if you ever do use all of your abilities, which can happen quite often, then you do get that extra handling, reload speed, and stability. So you got to remember there is one extra way to get stability up on this thing, which is just like that. You could actually use all your abilities before you go into combat and be in combat for an extended period of time if you have something like Frenzy, and then get both of these going at once. You're moving around, so you have actually all your perpetual motion stability, and it could be pretty darn good. But this right here is what I recommend you to be the god roll: small bore, ricochet, perpetual, and target lock. Again, on the actual barrel options, you can definitely switch that up if there's other ones you prefer her. Like I said, hammer forge could definitely be very solid, full war can be very solid, even fluid could be solid, but I do think you want some extra range on your barrel option here. Even corkscrew can be quite good. It's a lot of stuff that's not crazy, but you know, it adds up little parts at a time. We do remember this is a seasonal gun, so you can craft it. So all of these are going to be enhanced. So we're going to get even more of our perpetual motion, even better target lock, and it's just going to be really good with all that, you know, enhanced perks. We're even going to be able to put a little Traz memento, or really any memento you want on this thing, and it's going to look absolutely amazing. I think this is probably the gun I'm going to try to masterwork first, maybe the 120, but definitely this one is up high on the list. But yeah, all that said, you guys let me know in the comments, what is your god roll going to be? Do you agree with me? I don't think too many people are going to disagree. This is a pretty straightforward gun in my opinion, where perpetual motion, of course, is a very good gun, or a very good perk, excuse me. Target lock is still an extremely good perk. They didn't really touch it in the slightest. And when it comes to the barrel and mag options here, you're pretty much going to want to go with what I said. Other people do have a little bit of extra preferences when it comes to the barrel or mag, and that's completely fine in my opinion. But it's a pretty solid gun. It looks like it's going to be a pretty good counter to our immortal meta we have right here. So this is going to be a good one to actually outrange and outtrade that immortal. If you are interested in that, in case you didn't want to be scummy with the immortal in the past, then I definitely recommend you take the Rapacious appetite right here and you use this instead. But yeah, hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you want to leave me a like, comment, or subscribe, I'd very much appreciate that. I'm going to have a bunch of other god roll reviews coming out in the next few days on all the new weapons that we just had coming out this season. So if you're interested in see that, make sure you are subscribed. I'd very much appreciate if you want to like the video, because that helps me get the video out to more people so they can see it as well. All that being said, that is it for me today. I'm going to let the gameplay play out all the way to the end here in case you are interested in watching the rest of it. Then you can go ahead and do that. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. And that is it for me today. So as always, have a great day, Guardians.